Which one is better, this iPhone 11 Pro Max or the OnePlus 9 Pro? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the third in this video series of lifelong iPhone user switches to Android. This video follows up my first video around switching to a Pixel 4a, which was my first taster of Android ever after owning pretty much every Apple iPhone Apple's ever released and well, almost every Apple product. And then my second video was switching to the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra to get a taste for Android running on flagship hardware, where I suffered a few issues, mainly surrounding notifications and a few other minor things like a physical mute switch. But one of the most common comments on that video was that I should be testing the OnePlus 9 Pro next. So I did, and I've now fully switched over to this OnePlus 9 Pro for a few weeks now, and I have some thoughts, and most of them, spoiler alert, actually kind of good. So without further ado, let's unwrap this gem of a puzzle of Apple versus Android. First up, for those of you watching for the first time, well, hi, my name is Pete, and on this channel you can find videos around tech and business and some stuff around money. I do upload twice a week, so if you want more of that stuff, then please do subscribe for more. So one of the biggest debates in the tech universe is this whole Android versus Apple debate, and I have been using this iPhone, well, an iPhone, and the whole Apple ecosystem world for pretty much the last decade. So I thought I'd make one video around trying to switch to Android, and that one video led to another video, which leads to this video, because the biggest thing with Android is that there is just so much you can do with it. It's nearly impossible to learn in just a few weeks what it is capable of, and I'm finding the more handsets I try, the more comfortable I'm getting with it all. So in this video, I'm going to run through my opinion on the pros and cons of, well, this phone and Android from the perspective of a solid iPhone user. And I feel the need to point out the whole my opinion thing, because there are a ton of comments on my last two videos about how much of an idiot I am around not knowing that you fixed the problem by doing this and that other problem by installing that other app over there. Guys, I'm new to Android. It literally says iPhone user switches to Android. But with that said, to the majority of those people who have commented nicely to explain how I fixed some of the issues that I raised in my last video, a huge thank you to you. Oh, and if you are also thinking of buying your own OnePlus 9, then do please consider using the links down below, which gets you, I think it's £10 to spend on accessories and gear, or just find you the cheapest price. It really does help me out, and it means that I can continue to make these sorts of videos whilst I'm on my journey to get to a size where I'll actually be able to get some proper review samples. Right now, I'm buying all of these phones myself with my own money, which is super expensive if you haven't gathered already. So let's get into the good stuff with the OnePlus 9 Pro and Android just as a whole, because shock horror to those iPhone users out there, it's actually pretty damn good. You can customize so much of the notifications, it's unreal, and I get a lot of notifications, like a lot. Social media apps, Slack and Teams for chatting to various work colleagues, calendar, to-dos, messages. There's just a lot. Okay. I don't know, for example, if you can see my notifications here right now, but that is my notifications life. I have so many notifications that it is off the end of the screen. So it is really important to me that I can go in and customize exactly what notifications I get to see from within each app. And it's not just a very generic on or off that you get with the iPhone. You really, really can dig into the details. The screen is also absolutely incredible. And this is something I actually loved on the S21, which I forgot to mention in my last video, but it is so bright and so clear, and the curved edge is also just a really nice finish, and 120 Hz refresh rate makes it just so smooth to use, something which I really wish, and I think is actually coming to the iPhone 13, but as always a few years after Android's done it. But it is a really nice feature for those who haven't yet experienced it. For charging, this thing is absolutely magic. If you are someone who has to charge their phone multiple times a day because you're such a heavy user, then this will be a big, massive, gigantic plus for you. This thing comes with something called Warp Charge, and damn, does it warp charge. From 0 to 100% in 30 minutes when just using a wire. I mean, that is just insane. And the power brick comes with the phone. Are you listening, Apple? Even on a wireless charger, which you do have to buy separately, this thing charges from 0 to 100% in 40 minutes. And I wish that kind of tech was on the iPhone and, well, all the Android phones actually. But also I wonder if it will kill the battery over time. Since I do know with the likes of my Tesla, for example, it's not recommended to supercharge them every day, which essentially is warp charge for, well, an electric car. The more power you put in the shortest time, then it's suggested that it shortens the lifespan of the battery, and over time it will then have less and less capacity. Not sure how that plays out here, but again, absolutely love the charging speeds. Maybe just do some digging into the battery if you plan on buying this phone and keeping it for, anything longer than 1 to 2 years though, just to be sure. Next we have Bluetooth and, weirdly, Apple AirPod Pros. And I know this won't apply to most Android users, but my AirPod Pros paired effortlessly with OnePlus 9 Pro and I actually argue more reliable than the Apple intelligent switching. I always find that to be really flaky at best with Apple, and always always when I'm jumping onto like a video call at just the right time, it is always the moment where the AirPods just won't connect to my Mac. I've never had a single issue connecting these to this phone, so there's a massive plus there. And also the noise reduction works still really, really well on these. So yeah, just great experience, Apple and Android together. Who'd have thought? Next up, and this is something missing from the Samsung S21 and the Pixel as well, was the physical mute switch. It makes it so much easier than like swiping down and finding the right button on Android. When you're in a meeting or hopping onto a call, then anyone who has a phone with a mute switch, like on iPhones, will attest to the fact it is just so much easier just to flip that switch to silence everything. Something which is a shame the S21 doesn't actually have. Onto gestures next, and something I missed from my iPhone was a quick way to get to the camera and a quick tap to get to the torch. Now, a ton of comments did come in on those, on how to fix that in the last video, including remapping various buttons, but those wouldn't work for me, as remapping the power button, for example, then means you can't get to the camera because that's the double tap to get to the camera. But on the OnePlus 9 Pro, I love their implementation of gestures. Simply draw a pattern on the screen and you can get it to do something. For me, I set it up so that when I draw a V, it turns on the torch, or turns it off again. Neat. A worthy mention here for screenshots because, well, this was an issue I had on the S21. Because on the S21, the default shortcut to take a screenshot is to hold the two side buttons down, except the two buttons are next to each other. So it involves like a weird crab grip on the phone or using two hands to tap both buttons at once. Well, good news on the OnePlus 9 is it's basically exactly the same as on the iPhone. You just grab the phone, grab the power and volume buttons, and it just works exactly the same way, to like crop the photos and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it a really easy transition from iPhone to the OnePlus 9 for that. Onto the keyboard, and I absolutely love how you can customize the keyboard. Show the number row, don't show the number row, show a dedicated emoji key, stickers, height, haptic feedback, long press, themes, text correction. There are just so many settings. You get absolutely none of these on the iPhone. It's just incredible. And you can install different keyboards. I kind of switched just between like the Google keyboard and the Microsoft SwiftKey keyboards, as there are just things I like about both of them. But being able to customize your keyboard and install new keyboards is again just another incredible thing you can do. And finally, the launcher. And the launcher is basically like the overall skin or theme for the phone. You don't get this on iPhone beyond choosing like light mode or dark mode. On the Pixel 4a, I use the stock Pixel launcher, as that is like the most Android version of, well, Android that exists. On the S21, I use the Samsung launcher, had issues. Used the Nova launcher, had issues. And then settled on the Microsoft launch, which actually did work quite well for me. Well, now on the OnePlus 9 Pro, I'm using the Nova launcher, and this time I've actually paid a few quid to upgrade to the Pro version, which then unlocks some extra features and gestures and such, and hot damn, is it good. Now, there are kind of just too many things to talk about here, but let me just talk about my favorites. You can configure swipe up actions on any icon or folder on your home screen, and you can trigger various system things like launching the first app in a folder, or searching, or Google Assistant, showing notifications. You can launch a completely different app or run a shortcut. This is so good, as it essentially doubles what you can do with your home screen without actually being messy at all. For example, I have my YouTube Studio app right here, but if I swipe up, it launches YouTube. I've got my Tesla app, which if I swipe up, fires up my garage door opener. And then I have my To-Do app, which if I swipe up on, opens up my note-taking app. It's just so good. I absolutely love things like that. The second is, again, in notifications. You can change the size of the notification badge, but you can also change them between showing a generic dot, numeric dots, or dynamic badges, which I absolutely love. As you know, say on Facebook, you can see the profile picture of whoever's messaged you without even opening the app. Just simple things, simple pleasures. Good stuff out of the way. Now on to the bad stuff. So prep yourself, strap in, and again, final reminder that these are my opinions. Be kind down there in the comments. First up, it is actually notifications. Yes, notifications are actually one of the best and kind of one of the worst things about this phone, and kind of Android in general, I'm finding. And yeah, I know I'll get flamed in the comments for this, but for those of you who did watch my S21 review, they might know that I suffered a pretty big issue with notifications, and without lingering on those too long, I am pretty sure it was actually a fault with my own phone and not a reflection on Android in general. But notifications on the OnePlus 9, firstly, my phone makes a noise, but I have zero clue what for. I said earlier that I get a load of notifications, and it's great you can customize them. However, if I'm using the phone and something comes in, message or social media, email, whatever it is, the phone makes a noise, yet I have no clue which app it's coming from, unless I pull down the notifications or hunt through the home screen to see which has a badge on it. Number two, and this is where my Android usage is, well, I guess like maturing over time, but even though all the issues I had with Samsung Galaxy S21, I am missing one specific feature. Now with the S21, you can get the screen to flash the color of the app which has a notification. I actually really like this feature. You know, get a WhatsApp, it glows green, and Facebook, it glows blue. Does kind of sound really gimmicky, but actually it is really practical, as when you get a notification, you can just kind of glance over and see what type of message it is and then get on with things. Like, awesome. This feature isn't on the OnePlus 9, so I guess that's like a Samsung feature rather than Android. And it is kind of weird how these phones can just be so different, but I guess that's what like a decade of iPhone does to you, pretty much the same features across all phones. And lastly, with notifications, I saw a huge amount of comments around this on my last videos. Some praising notifications on Android and calling me like a complete idiot for saying they're anything but amazing, but then there were also tons from the other side saying Android notifications are awful. I'm actually sat between both camps. Yes, it is great you can customize them, but also, once I get a notification, fire up the app to check the notification, realise it's not something I actually cared for, so I go back. Well, the notification is still there until I tap and hold and then swipe away the notifications. But there's also another issue. Take email or Slack or Teams, for example, something where I do actually want to know if I have any unread messages that I need to deal with. I see the notification, go into the app, realise I don't want to deal with that notification right now, but now that notification is gone. So now it's on me to remember to go back into the app to deal with it later, which I never do because I'm forgetful, and I mean, that's just no good at all. On iPhone, for example, if you have a social media notification, then you fire up the app, swipe down to refresh the app, and then go close the app. Notification gone. On email, it shows you the actual number of unread emails in your inbox, so if you mark emails as unread, that number goes up. And again, I think this might be something that can be fixed with maybe a setting or software, since, well, kind of everything can be fixed by a setting or software on Android in general, but I haven't found it yet. Maybe the long-time Androiders can tell me how it works in the comments. But yeah, notifications, like, really good, but also just Next up is password managers, and my experience of password managers on Android is definitely mixed. I'm currently in the middle of testing out like a number of different password managers, and none of them seem to be as reliable or as easy to use as on iPhone. On iPhone, I visit a website and the password is either like one tap or maybe two taps away. On Android, it seems to be, well, kind of hit and miss as to whether it will actually trigger the thing that lets me fire the password manager up, and when it does, it just requires more work than it does on iPhone. I've even tried different browsers, including like Chrome and DuckDuckGo. I had slightly better experiences on DuckDuckGo, but maybe again, and let me know how all you Android people are getting on with password managers. And it's so difficult to compare, as these hardcore Android people will just be like, oh, you do this, stupid. But yeah, genuine question again, and what should I be expecting here? Next up on the list of downsides is, well, Face Unlock. There doesn't seem to be a way of just picking up the phone and unlocking the screen. You have to wake the phone by hitting the side button, and then it unlocks. And by which point you may as well pick up the phone and unlock it right away with a fingerprint reader instead. On the iPhone, it's just pick up, look at the phone, and it's unlocked so you can like read the notifications, and then swipe up, and you're in. I guess you could argue that neither is really perfect, as you still need to physically hit a button or swipe up on both of the devices. Over to calendars, and I'm yet to find a replacement for Fantastical from like the Apple world, which basically just brings all of my calendars together from like Apple and Google and Microsoft, like, all of the places, and lets me see, manage, invite, all from one place. So I have tried a few different ones, a few free, a few paid for, but nothing quite works as nice or really looks as nice as Fantastical. And then lastly, in the negative department, is actually the keyboard. Now, this might be something that I still need to get used to, but I have tried a number of different keyboards on Android, and none of them seem to be, well, as accurate as on iPhone. I think maybe iPhone's predictive typing thing must actually be pretty incredible, because I can type away and it will get the right words, or at least correct them to the right words most of the time. On Android, this isn't really the case. I do find myself having to go back and manually correct mistakes like more than I did, and more than I ever did on iPhone. And I thought this might go over time as I adjusted to different keyboard layouts, but so far we're 3 months in, and, well, these fat thumbs just aren't accurate enough on Android as they are on iPhone. Ooh, and that pretty much sums up all of the negatives. Really not that many, in all honesty. And like I said, the more I use Android, the more I'm liking and getting used to it. Would I recommend the OnePlus 9 Pro? Absolutely, 100%. Yes, it is a great phone, great battery life, great cameras, it's water resistant, it just checks all of the boxes. And so my recommendation, if you are looking to get your first Android phone, would be to get a OnePlus 9 Pro, as it has got so many similarities with an iPhone that it'll make that transition really, really smooth for you. Now, how smooth depends on how tied in you are with the Apple ecosystem. I'm still waiting for the OnePlus Watch to ship, so I'm hoping to make a video on that one when it does finally get here. But if you are full on like Apple, like I am, Macs and iPads, watches, buds, then it becomes really difficult to switch because of, well, that ecosystem. But I have to say that this is definitely the closest I've been to actually switching. And I'm also kind of not looking forward to going back to the iPhone, which is a bit of a first for me. For me, it is just those nifty things like the swiping up shortcuts that make this thing just an absolute pleasure to use. But I think what I will actually do now I'm used to Android a little bit more, I think I might actually go back and try the S21 once more. Since a load of the issues I actually had with it, I think I can now actually solve, having known the software a bit better. So actually, to answer that question of, well, all questions, am I switching? I think I am. Just not to this OnePlus 9 Pro. Don't get me wrong, this is an incredible phone. I just did like the S21 hardware and that better notifications as long as it actually worked for me. And the Galaxy Watch as well was really, really nice. Let me know down in the comments below if you are switching or thinking of switching. What phone are you looking at? Because, well, this Android thing has kind of opened up a whole new world of like new devices to me. Previously it was, what phone have you got? The iPhone 11 or the iPhone 12? Now there is just so much more to explore out there. And I'm actually genuinely excited, like really excited to get a taste of all the like different flavors of Android and all the hardware. So if you are going to buy your own, then do consider using the links down below, which get you, I think it's £10 to spend on accessories and gear. Like this video if you did, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks, bye-bye.